In this video, I'm just going to do a quick intro into macros and VBA. I'm going to start with how to record a macro. You go into the View tab, select Macro, Record Macros, let's press OK. And now what's going to happen is Excel is going to record everything that I do. So if I want to change how this sheet looks, and then I'm going to stop recording. There's also a button in the bottom left-hand corner of this sheet as well that you can press. Looks the same as this. So stop recording. So now I've finished recording my macro. So if I wanted to change it back to what I had initially, now what I can do is I can rerun that macro so it'll do exactly what I just did. And so the value in this is if you do a lot of repetitive work and you don't want to have to go through every single individual step one at a time, you just run a macro. Now you don't always have to run a macro from here. What you can do is actually assign a shortcut to it. So let's say I want this to run when I hit Control-Shift-Q. Press OK, close this, and again I'm just going to change this back to what I had before. And now I'm going to press Control-Shift-Q. And there you go, it repeats what I did. Now another thing you can do is insert a button as well on the Developer tab. Now you may not see the Developer tab, you may have to enable it in the options. If you go into the Options tab, on this version of Excel, it's under the Customize Ribbon button, and there's the Developer option that I've already got checked off. And then once you do that, you'll have access to this tab. And so if I click on Insert, this first button here, that's a Form Control button, and now I'm just selecting the size of my button, and right away it's asking me to assign a macro. So this is the macro I just created. Press OK, and then you can rename this button to whatever you want. And so now when you click the button, it's going to run the macro. So let me change color scheme back. And now when I press the button, repeats what I did. So that's the beauty of it. You can set it up as a button, as a shortcut. You know, if you want to do the long way, you can do that as well. Now, once you've recorded the macro, it gets stored on the VBA side. So if I press Alt F11, it's going to show up under the Modules tab here. On the module section, I should say. So this is everything that I've just recorded. And so I could go back in here and edit it if I wanted to, or write my own code. Doesn't matter. Now, you would normally assign, if you're doing a macro yourself, you could assign it to a workbook or all these sheets, depending on where it is you want it to work. I usually put them all under a workbook. If you're doing something like a custom function, then you would have to put that under the module for it to work. Macros, generally, they can go into a number of different places depending on the scope of them and what you want to do with them. But if you have a function, like I have a very simple function that I have here that I'm just going to copy in here, and it's just basically called multiply by 10. So whatever I input, it's going to multiply that by 10. So I'll give you an example. So I'm just going to select an empty cell, select multiply by 10. So that's my function I just created. And whatever number I put in, it's going to multiply by 10. So 4 times 10 is 40. So now this function wouldn't work if I put it in one of these sheet tabs, because all these look identical. But for functions, you want to put them in the module section. But for macros, any kind of sub-procedure, you can put that in, well, I'd recommend putting it in the workbook. So you put it in a sheet, might not be accessible by different worksheets. But again, it depends on what you want the macro to do and where you want it to perform those actions. Anyway, I hope that helped, and thanks for watching.